Now, one of the big games coming out for later this year is Aliens Colonial Marines. This one's coming from Sega and the very famous Gearbox Studios. Dan, you actually got some hands-on time with this lately?
Not hands-on
Not
time.
hands-on
They
time.
wouldn't let me get my grubby little mitts all over the controller.
Well, okay, so what did you see then?
So they showed the same demo that they showed not too long ago, but we got to see it as well. And it is essentially the early part of the game. They've cut out a little bit of the start just to kind of keep you guessing. And we were boarding the Sulaco. So it was going in there, revisiting a lot of the locations from the films. So the entrance was, we were going in and you see a lot of little bits and pieces that really kind of nod to anyone who knows the universe. You see the drop ship that Bishop piloted down to the planet, and then there's half a synthetic lying on the ground, kind of spilled out with all its bits. And as you wander around the game, you really start to see the kind of fan touches, like the lockers. You can go and see Hudson's locker, and it's looking really great.
Now, obviously, this isn't the first game to be set in Aliens sort of like universe. How faithful are they actually trying to stay to what's been set in the past?
What's I think a bit of a delicate balancing act for them because they're working with canon. You know, this is official universe and license, and they're building on that. So
this game is canon?
It is canon. And it takes place, they've said it takes place after the trilogy, the original trilogy, so Alien Resurrection and Winona Ryder. You're not, no consideration in there. But they're also introducing new elements like new xenomorphs to the existing Alien universe canon as well.
What about the action in it, Dan? Is it fairly, is it very violent?
It's a little violent, as you kind of expect. In the demo, there's a point where we enter an eggy sort of area that has a whole bunch of kind of webbing up on the walls, and there's a trapped Marine, and you need to use your. Do you remember those things they used to seal and unseal doors? The kind of oxy torches. You have to cut one of your fellow Marines out of this thing, and it's really trusting because I wouldn't want somebody cutting anywhere near my junk with one of those torches.
Okay, Dan, so we have in Australia had in the past trouble with rating Aliens-themed games. Just from what you've seen of it so far, do you think there's going to be an issue with this? Before R18 comes in, obviously.
That's always a tough question. It is pretty brutal, but it is also within that
universe.
Far off kind of, but then we saw Mortal Kombat, which was also not exactly rooted in reality, and that had some trouble. It's probably a little early to say, but I think it'll be pushing the bar of MA15.
But it's looking good to you in terms of action?
It looks great. There've been some concerns from people about how many bullets it takes to put a xenomorph down, but the pulse rifle looks awesome. The motion tracker is back, and we caught up with Randy Pitchford from Gearbox Software to talk all things Aliens Colonial Marine.
Randy's a great name, by the way.
It's really kind of interesting to deal with that balance between the gamer who will know the Aliens franchise inside and out and the gamer that doesn't know it as well. And we've kind of taken this approach. The philosophy we've had is that it's helpful and valuable to have fan service, but the experience does not depend upon it. And so to compare it to some other thing that gives us kind of an objective way of thinking about it, we noticed that J.J. Abrams' Star Trek film did a really good job of that balance. My son has never seen any Star Trek movie. He loved that film, and he had no prior knowledge. He knew what Star Trek was, and he knew it was important in science fiction, but he had never seen any of the TV shows or any of the movies before. And I showed a section of Aliens Colonial Marines earlier, and it kind of betrays that same philosophy. When you're in the hangar of the Sulaco, you're boarding the Sulaco after the events of Aliens, and you realize that there's a dropship parked there, and it's like, that's the same dropship that Bishop flew. And you're looking around this place, and holy crap, this is where Ripley fought the Alien Queen. And sure enough, on the floor you see the milky blood, the white milky stuff that's from the inside of the synthetic Bishop, and there's these two legs, the bottom half of a torso lying there, and the main character, the player character says, I've got half of an unidentified synthetic here. And over the headset, the commander asks, well, which half? He goes, well, he ain't saying much. And the commander says, well, find me the half that does. And that's a fun sequence, right? Because here's half of a simulated person, and the joke's kind of funny, like, hey, find me the half that does. And all that kind of works, whether we've seen Aliens or not. But if you've seen Aliens, like, that's freaking Bishop, dude. That's the bottom half of Bishop. And I'm looking at that right now, and that's when he got ripped in half, and the bottom half was thrown, and holy crap, I'm standing in the movie right now. and it has a whole different kind of level to it. So it works for both the guy that has never seen the film and the guy that does, and that kind of shows how we've approached that kind of stuff.